Welcome to Eastern High School's Athletics Podcast. Today we join Coach Shep, Coach Graves, and Coach Graham as they recap this past week in Eagle sports. Also sure to entertain, each week we'll hear from an exciting feature Eagle as they discuss the week's upcoming matches and games. And now, here are your hosts, Coach Shep, Coach Graves, and Coach Graham.
All right, everybody, welcome into the Eastern High School Athletics Podcast. I'm your host, Athletic Director Joe Schepper. I'm joined by our guest today. Right now, I'm not joined by any co-hosts. We got Mike Horan coming. He's down there filing, getting ready for Eastern Relays. We'll talk more about that when we get to it. But I'm here with our guest, none other than the very famous tennis coach at Eastern High School, Coach Rick Cotton. Say hi.
Hi.
You guys scoot closer. Oh, yeah, we got to get your projection up there. Yep. So Coach Rick Cotton is here. We're going to get in-depth with Coach Rick Cotton at the end. If he has anything to add to what we're saying, feel free. We've yet to have a tennis person on, and Ava is not much of an advocate for your team, so we don't have much details on how the season's going other than the one text from Coach McCollum that said the boys are dominating. So I'm feeling good about tennis. We're going to need to elaborate on the feeling good. Are you in for that?
Yep.
Okay, but before we can start, number one, we're sponsored by East End Plumbing Supply. Scott Jackson, Eastern alum, owner and operator of East End Plumbing Supply. Go over there, check in with his son. Mason Jackson working the front counter. Speaking of Mason Jackson, we got to stop the podcast real quick because we need a public apology. We're going to need a public apology from Molly here for last week not her iPad stopping recording after 1 minute.
This is my public apology. It's my fault, and I'll be sure to check with the technology next time.
Okay, great. We're back to our normal iPad, so things are much better. And Molly apologizes, so we're all square. We're going to let bygones be bygones, right, Sophie? We're going to let things go?
Right.
Like we talked about yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, recap of the previous week. Baseball. Baseball's gone 5-0 since our last show. Yes, sir. Baseball is catching a nice little stride here. They beat KCD, Butler, Southern, Fern Creek, and Meade County. They had a walk-off win over Fern Creek. I believe Ben Brown had the hit, correct? Scoring the winning run against the Fern Creek team, who pitched one of their best pitchers, and it's a good team, a top-ranked team. That's a good win. Softball's gone 3-1 since our last podcast. They had a walk-off win over a ranked Oldham County team. I believe that was Edie Kretzer with that knock in the run. They did lose to Ballard. Ballard's on about a 50-plus game winning streak, top 13 in the country, reigning state champion. We went over to Ballard. We threw Hallie Roberts. Hallie Roberts did not give up a hit in the game. Their pitcher did not give up a hit in the game. And we had an error and a couple walks, and we lost 2-0. So we're going to face them again. We got the district tournament here at Eastern. We're excited about that possibility. It's looking right now like the 7th region is going to come down to, Ballard's the class, and then we got Male and Eastern involved in that as well. Boys lacrosse. Boys lacrosse went 2-0 since our last podcast. Beat Ballard. That's a good win. And beat KCD on senior night last night 14-2. Is that what it was? I think it was 14-2. Interesting things of note. Senior night last night, I heard more than one, like at least 3 or 4 of the guys say that their favorite memory as an Eastern lacrosse player was beating KCD on senior night, and they announced that before the game, before playing KCD. Might be the most arrogant move I've ever seen in my life. I looked over KCD, and there wasn't much. What do you think of that? You think you can do that in tennis world? Like, my favorite memory on senior night is beating Manual.
Well, we beat Trinity on senior night a couple years ago.
Oh, okay. Ava didn't beat Trinity.
They didn't appreciate it.
They didn't appreciate it. Okay. So, but they stomped on KCD. Hall's son. Huh? Oh, yeah. Patty Neal scored. Patty Neal, the famous golfer from Eastern High School, as well as student section leader and edible fish connoisseur. Patty Neal got his inaugural goal of his entire lacrosse career in his first game. So he's trending upward, right? 1 game, 1 goal. That's pretty good. Girls lacrosse. 3-2 since our last podcast. They beat Ballard. Check. Like that both teams beat Ballard. They went 2-1 on their cross-country trip escapades. And then they lost to Sacred Heart last night, which we're not going to talk about. We're just going to leave that right there. They got the rest of the Braveheart tournament this weekend. There's 1,000 games. You can go look at our calendar. Like the JV and the varsity are all playing. So that's what they got. Track with the first big track meet of the season, the Johnny Con over at Mail, which some people call the poor man's Eastern Relays. But nonetheless, I call it that. Girls 100-meter champion Aaliyah Allen. Raven Payne finished second in the girls 200-meter. Aaliyah Allen also won the 300-meter hurdles. Raven Payne won the 400. Trevor Rolls finished fourth in the 800. Lexi Clark, 7th in the girls' 1600. Dylan Ellis and Nate Powers, 4th and 5th in the boys' 1600. Andy Secor, 5th in the discus. Hayden Johnson, 1st in the long jump. And Aaron Radajak, 1st in the girls' pole vault. Alex Robertson, 1st in the boys' shot put. Couple relays. Unified did great, led by awesome John Woodness coach Todd Raines. Okay, so tennis, and we got Cotton on today. Tennis, because usually this tennis is where we insert cricket sound, because we're just not getting a lot of feedback on how good tennis is doing. So tennis faced Mail and KCD. How'd those go, Cotton?
Mail got winded out, so we're rescheduling. And
one of the 3,000 tornadoes that hit campus.
Yeah. Well, the Monday tennis balls don't go real good in.
I can imagine. There's not a lot of weight to them.
Boys lost yesterday 3-2, and the girls lost 4-1. But our number one doubles team hasn't lost yet this season, so we're looking strong on number one doubles. Hopefully they'll do something in the regional here in about a month.
Sweet.
Boys are looking to be strong in doubles also, number one doubles.
Is it like the doubles I always see on TV, like there's the real quick, like you got to hit it in the air before it hits the ground, like back and forth?
Well, if they get to the net and you win,
that's how you win,
doubles,
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Doubles,
I watched that. Did you watch that
net.
show on Netflix? What's it called? The tennis show? Break Point or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it follows all the tennis players, and the guy Nick Kyrgios or whatever.
Yeah,
he
Kyrgios.
plays doubles. I mean, it was aggressive. He played doubles like he was all over the net. But I'll have to get out. I got to get out to what tennis match other than senior night, because I'll come by for senior night. Do I need to check out? What would be a good comparison where we're not going to blow somebody out? We're not going to get blown out ourselves.
Who's coming up next week? We have.
Well, we're getting to that. So next week I'll skip to you're at Collegiate on Wednesday. How do you feel about that?
That will be competitive.
Competitive match.
Both.
And then next
boys
Thursday
and girls.
you have
Sacred Heart. I know
It
that
just says
won't be
boys,
competitive, girls, but
It won't be.
boys play. I don't remember.
Okay. All right. Well, our other surprise guest host, Mike Horan, just entered the show. I read off the Johnny Con results. Pretty good stuff over here. You got anything to add on Johnny Con?
I need to.
Certainly we had some great performances at Johnny Con and are very excited about where the team is going. Just the depth of performance, some new kids kind of showing up in big ways. So it's been good. Looking forward to what's next.
Is it true that some people call the Johnny Con the poor man's Eastern Relays?
I'm not sure anyone would do that. Listen, John, the team at Mayo, they do an outstanding job. It's really one of the best invites in the state of Kentucky, but there's only one Eastern Relays, and rich or poor.
We'll get to talking about the Eastern Relays here in a second. All right, so we're going to go out of order because Coach Cotton has to return to his substitute duties in the classroom. So we're going to go to a deep, in-depth on Rick Cotton real quick. Tell us about yourself, Rick Cotton. What do you do at Eastern? How long have you been here?
Well, this is my 50th year, as a lot of people know. I started Central High School in '74, was there for 12 years, and been at Eastern now for 38 years. And I've coached tennis, I've coached girls basketball, I've coached girls volleyball, I've coached both boys and girls swim teams.
So those of you keeping a track at home, 50 years coaching high school sports.
Yep.
50 parent meetings, 50 senior nights.
I don't know that you really did parent meetings back in the 70s. Kids just showed up and practiced.
No.
25 safety courses. Because they're doing
I don't think we had that.
25 CPR certifications.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you had that.
all these things. So 50 years.
Yep.
What was your favorite one of the 50? This one? This is your favorite team?
Oh, no. I won state my third or fourth year at Central. That was always memorable. My first year here in '86, I had a doubles team that went to state 2 years in a row and lost in the semis and the quarters to the same St. X team. We probably would have made the finals if we were on the other side of the draw. So, I've got memories. U of L's girls tennis coaches played for Eastern High School. We've got a lot of history, I guess you would say.
Cool.
And really, some of my favorite memories are from my teams that weren't as good. I call them the weekend warriors. When my weekend warriors can go out and play a KCD, Sacred Heart, Cal, collegiate, all the private schools, and we are competitive. And once in a while, when we can beat them, it's a very happy day. So
it's awesome.
Now, I know you had kids graduate from Eastern. Did you ever coach?
Both my daughter, I didn't want to do both teams when my daughter was playing. So we found another person and she started, actually her first year was 7th grade. Mr. Sexton used some rules, and she played 7th through 12th grade. And then my son played 9, or I guess, what was it back in there, legally 7 through 12. And they both went to Bellarmine and played tennis in Bellarmine.
Awesome. That's cool.
The trouble is they never get a chance to go to state because of our region is crazy with the number of private and Catholic schools in it.
I remember it. I coached golf long enough in the city. I know how that ends up being. Now, interesting fact about Mr. Cotton. This is the one thing I do know because he on Facebook, his profile picture is very famously what?
I drove the Sooner Schooner. In other words, I was the mascot for the University of Oklahoma.
So he was a student in Oklahoma, and you drove the wagon pulled by how many horses?
2 ponies.
2 ponies. And he's right, like in this picture, we'll have to try to find the picture. He's hitting the whips, riding this thing out in front of the football team, and there's a female next to him with like what looks to be a paddle.
Yes,
that says like "Go Pokes" or something. Or,
no, that's Oklahoma.
Oh,
State.
I'm sorry.
That's
and she's
State.
holding it up in the air, and it's
that's
like
right.
it might be one of the best
it might
pictures.
have been my paddle.
Is there any other interesting facts about Mr. Cotton that we should know?
I'm just famous, I guess, because of my picture in Life. That was the picture in Life magazine.
Oh, Life magazine.
Yeah, because we were playing Nebraska that year. It was the game of the century. Oklahoma and Nebraska were 1 and 2 that year.
Didn't famously, like in the last 5 to 10 years, didn't they wreck the Schooner?
They flipped it.
And
somebody took the turn a little too sharp.
That never would have happened with you at the helm.
Well, back in the day, they let us take the thing out almost to the 50-yard line, so you could make a big,
like sweeping turn.
Yeah, and now it looks like I haven't been back in a while. It looks like they're only letting them get out to about the 20 to 30. So
sure,
you're going to have to make that turn a little
now,
bit.
Did it leave ruts?
No.
Were you told to not do it when it rained?
No, they've got that synthetic turf.
When you were there, they had turf?
No, they were in grass.
Like I could just imagine, like you go out there, it's a little too damp, you get it stuck, you starting to hit the horses. We leave this big rut in the field right before the game, right?
Well, it doesn't go out until we score. But when I was there, the wishbone was running real well.
So wait a minute, you drove the thing out on the field when you scored a touchdown?
Oh yeah, or a field goal. That's the picture you saw.
I thought you just led the team out.
Oh no. Every score, we take it out and around.
So what's cooler, the Sooner Schooner or Bevo?
Bevo's up. I've seen Bevo up close.
And it's not that great?
It's scary. The scariest one is the Buffalo.
Oh, in
Ralphie,
Colorado?
Ralphie.
Didn't that one get loose one time?
No, they let him loose. They bring it. He's in a cage, and every time beginning of the game, they let him loose, and these guys run with him. They can't keep up with him, and if somebody gets in his way, he's gonna. I mean, he's probably a couple 1,000 pounds. But yeah, that was scary when I was in Colorado watching that.
So
we didn't have the schooner.
You took the schooner on the road?
Sometimes, yeah. Well, we
did
always
you just
took
drive it down the road, or did it go on a trail? Was this like the Oregon Trail?
No, there's
Rick Cotton dies of dysentery on the way to the Nebraska game.
There's a guy that owns them, and he has a handler that brings them to school, brings them to the game every day.
Oh, the horses.
And we pick them up in the field and then drive them in.
Have you used your wagon driving ability since then?
No. and the funniest thing is, I'd never ridden on a horse in my life.
You just whip it, and they were trained, and they knew what they were.
When I was asked to do it, it was my freshman year. The senior driver was retiring and asked me if I'd do it, and I said, "Well, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I've never ridden on a horse in my life." I said, "I know nothing about horses." And he said, "Oh, well, we'll teach you." And I said, "Yeah, sounds like fun." So
you must have had kind of a cowboy look about you that they picked you out of the crowd.
I don't know, So
that's interesting stuff. Well, so if you're interested in more stuff on Coach Cotton, I have it under a good authority that the news crew came out to practice and did a little story on his 50th year coaching. I'm not sure. I mean, unofficial stats again here on the podcast, because we're really unofficial. We're big believers in unofficial stats. Unofficially, the longest tenure of any JCPS coach. Unofficially.
No,
I've never heard of anyone 50 or more.
No, take that back. There's one guy that has me by 1 year.
He's still doing it now?
And he's in Paducah.
No, but JCPS.
Oh, no, I don't know about that. But there's one tennis coach, and he keeps going, and I keep going, and
you're trying to weigh each other out.
He doesn't teach anymore, though. He works at the indoor club in Paducah. So.
Yeah, but if we added up men's teams, women's teams, swim teams, you're probably
girls basketball. You said
closing in 100 seasons. We need to tally that up. Where's Graham when you need him? He would have counted that.
Now that's a good question. I don't know
how many actual seasons. It's kind of like they give out money at the end of the year for schools that don't have an ejection. Okay, like for the whole year, your athletic department doesn't have an ejection. Hot take: we are ejection free with a month to go in the year. That was probably a bad decision to say that. However, last year we didn't get it. And we had one person eject, I think it was a soccer player. And they were like divvying up the money. And I said, how about we do it by most athletes and coaches that didn't get ejected? Because we'll win that. Like we have like 800. Yeah. But all right, Coach Cotton, we're going to thank you. You can go back to your class, substitute teach with the best of them. Thank you for being on the show.
No problem.
And congratulations on your 50th year. We'll have to have an honorary picture on the social media and everything. We'll get Ava to take a picture of you.
Wait a second. You're not going to put in new tennis courts and name them the Rick Cotton?
Yeah, we'll get ready. Hey, we'll just take some more of that parking away, Mike. We don't need the parking out here.
Phase 6 of the master plan, I think.
Be on top of the parking garage. That's where we'll put them.
Yes.
Yeah, conditioning running up and down. See you, Coach Cotton. All right. So next week, this is why Mike Cran's here real quick. I'm going to go hyperspeed through the other stuff. Baseball nope. I guess I didn't do baseball. Baseball, big one tonight is Cal. They are hosting Cal this evening. That is their second district game, and that's a big one. So get out here to the park. 5:30 it got moved to. Softball is going to Boyle County, Breckenridge County, E-Town. They face Mercy next week on Monday at Mercy. Mercy's in the top 10. 4:25 on Tuesday they got Oldham County. Boys lacrosse is heading to Elder on Saturday. Cincinnati Elder. That is my father's alma mater. When I was a kid, I used to go to football games up there all the time, so it'll be interesting to go up there and watch that game. Then they host North Oldham on Monday at 6, and then they have St. X, the mighty St. X Tigers on Wednesday. Girls lacrosse, they got Braveheart the rest of the weekend. Next Tuesday, they host Cal. That is a district game, correct? It is, and that will be Tuesday at 5:30. And then Tennis is at Collegiate on Wednesday, which we already talked about. Let's reserve the rest for this weekend. I don't know what all the superlatives go into, but it's one of the best high school track meets in the country. Probably one of the best ones in the Midwest. I've been getting phone calls from every area code on planet Earth recently. And that is the Eastern Relays are this Friday and Saturday at University of Louisville. Coach Mike Horan is here to talk about them. Tell us about the Eastern Relays.
Well,
Time out. You already did a podcast yesterday, right? And we already retweeted it. So if you want deeper content, go check out that Kentucky Track XC podcast that Mike was on. But go ahead and give us some more.
This is Coach Schepper, knowing how I tend to go on and on and on, trying to keep this one concise. Yeah, so Eastern Relays, we got a big show. I think we got 8 states that'll be competing. It's going to be awesome. We've got all of Kentucky's best athletes, a lot of the best athletes from Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Tennessee, West Virginia, Missouri. We got a kid coming down from New York. It's gonna be great. It starts tomorrow at University of Louisville's Cardinal Park in the afternoon. Our early events are kind of some local open events, and then we've got the varsity competition beginning around 6. And then we come back on Saturday morning. We'll get the field events fired up about 8:30 in the morning, and then running events start at 9:15. We'll be out there watching the flyovers from Thunder coming out to visit us at Cardinal Park, and track action will usually wrap up around 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, and we have a great time. We work really, really hard. I cannot miss an opportunity to say a big thank you to our Eastern track families, our Eastern track coaches. This is a big endeavor. I think I earn a few extra gray hairs every year this week. It is the hardest week for all of us, but also just super rewarding to get to put on this event. It's great for our athletes. It's great for all of Kentucky's athletes. And it's great for folks that are traveling in from out of town. So we're really, really excited.
How many years are we going on?
So this is my 20th year coaching. So I think I did the math. If you count boys, girls track, boys and girls cross country, I think that's 80 seasons for me. So, but this will be.
Does that put you in front of Cotton? Or
I think with his swimming and boys and girls tennis, he's still ahead of me. But this is my 19th year. We missed the COVID year, but we started Eastern Relays long ago. Coach Jim Holman, who's coach at Male now and was a national coach of the year when he was at Eastern. They started back in '85, and I just took the baton when I came over to Eastern as a coach, and I've tried to keep making it better and growing. And this is our 19th time at the University of Louisville, and just continuing to try and make it a little bit better every single year.
It's awesome. It's an impressive meet. I think it's going to stream live online again.
Yep. You can find information about the meet. You can buy tickets. You can watch it live broadcast at easternrelays.milesplit.com, easternrelays.milesplit.com, or Eastern Relays on Twitter, Eastern Relays on Instagram, and it's going to be a big show. Should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, that is good news. We look forward to your weekend. Brave the weather. It ain't that big of a deal because we're looking at a little precipitation on Friday evening and then the temperature drop going into Saturday. But does it always fall on Thunder?
It has fallen on Thunder recently. It shifts a little bit from year to year. Occasionally the Johnny Con will be Thunder weekend, but we've been on Thunder weekend for the last few years.
There's always fall in the spring game, too, because I feel like there'll be a lot of people down at U of L.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend at U of L. We'll see. I can't remember how that – I don't remember it ever being on the spring game weekend before, but it'll be neat. I mean, I know that some of our track athletes are high-level football recruits that might stop down to the spring game. I know it'll be busy down there. It'll be a big show.
That'll be awesome. Sounds like a college version of Eastern's campus. We got 80 events going on over here all the time. All right, so Mount Rushmore. We're going to wrap it up with Mount Rushmore, and we're going to do the same Mount Rushmore we did last week when Molly ruined our podcast. Okay? So, the favorite, and Davis has chimed in, so we're going to let Davis chime in on his since we only got 2 people. So, favorite Eastern tradition. This is inspired by 2 things. One is the return of the Little Kentucky Derby. So we haven't had that in how many years? A couple years or something?
Yeah, the seniors told me this morning, first period, they've never done a Little Kentucky Derby, which is
So
crazy.
3 years at least,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
that's number one, and then it's also inspired by it being Eastern Relays Week, which is also a big, and you can use that one as yours if you'd like. But we're going to do favorite Eastern tradition. I will go first, and I will give Coach Wilham, Mr. Wilham, who was here last week. I'm going to use his and go ahead and interject it. His favorite Eastern tradition is the seniors painting parking spots because it gets you ready for the school year. You know, it gets the camaraderie. You got the pictures taken. It's my first day at school. It's my parking spot. It's always kind of a cool thing to kind of chime back on your Eastern tradition. I mean, I thought, coming from Butler, I thought Butler had a lot of traditions, but Eastern has got traditions galore. Like, I mean, we've talked, most of these Mount Rushmores are referencing traditions. What do you got, Mike?
Well, you know, I could pick a lot, but I'm gonna go with the new one. Shep, I'll give you, and I think maybe Coach Girardin before you took this one, but I love that back to school pep rally. I mean, I think that's been a nice addition in recent years. It hasn't been going on for very long, but what a cool way to start the year is to have everybody out in the upper lot, kind of having fun together. Yeah, I could go Eastern Relays. I could go Louisville Classic in the fall. I'm hoping Davis has one picked out that's been one of my favorite things since I was a freshman here at Eastern. But if he doesn't name it, I'll add it to the pile after.
What you got, Davis?
After he goes.
You got to come over, or you got to come over, or you got to get real loud.
Let me see. I think one of the favorite traditions we started about probably 10 or 12 years ago was the alumni game. First home game is the Eastern alumni game. And we pulled in a lot of people that, and you didn't have to be a football player or nothing like that. Any Eastern grad could come to the game, and afterwards we would go to the local establishment and sit back and reminisce and catch up with everybody. But when we first started, it was maybe, 50 or 60 people. Now it's built up to probably, I would say, a couple of thousand at least, and people fly in from out of town. It's like a big, huge class reunion for every class that kind of came through Eastern. So our first home game had always had started a few years ago, was the alumni game, and it has absolutely blown up since then.
Some other ones that were mentioned from the previous podcast once
Football
again.
game, I guess.
Yeah, was the Holiday Caravan. That's a big one. Holiday Caravan's a big tradition at this school. Raising a ton of money for families around the area, getting that food, taking it out. It's a really awesome way to end the school year going into the break, basically. The year, not the school year, I guess. It's really cool. It's a positive feeling when you go out the building. You don't, every other school I've been to, like the last day, you got the idiots running down the hall, like, I ain't coming back down next year, throwing their papers and stuff. Like, I like that. It's a better feeling, and everybody's pretty happy, and it's jolly, and you can go on to your holiday trips. Graham added in that his favorite tradition should be the first game jet flyover that we did.
If we can make that a tradition, that'd be
It's only
great.
done one time.
So I'll add in again. A lot of folks haven't been to the Little Kentucky Derby since COVID, but man, when Coach Davis is out there with the tug of war, I mean that is
To say that, but
an absolute. I mean, I remember some years tug of war was just pandemonium. Mano y mano, some of the finest. One thing I've always pushed for with the Little Kentucky Derby, but it hasn't happened yet, is a race that's the distance of the actual Kentucky Derby. I feel like our cross country crew would have a strong advantage in that. But it's the middle of track season, so I can understand. We'll keep them short, run them around the gym, and have a good time with it.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Everybody's looking forward. That's another good way. Is it on the day before we go out for break?
yes.
Yeah, so it's another good way to go out to a holiday break. That'll be fun. But I think that's all we got. I think tonight's a big night for baseball. They're the only one on campus tonight. Great weather. Come on out, watch them play Cal, and then make your way down to U of L for the Eastern Relays this weekend. Thank you all very much.
Go Eagles.